New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is under federal investigation for misreporting COVID nursing home deaths in the state. The governor had faced backlash after state health officials directed nursing homes in March to readmit residents discharged from the hospital but still recovering from COVID-19. Now he's facing allegations that his administration manipulated and downplayed the data about nursing home infections and deaths to avoid criticism. ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky joins me now to talk about this controversy. Aaron, thanks so much for being on. You know, Cuomo spent months aggressively denying that he mismanaged nursing homes in the beginning of the pandemic in any way. So what do we know so far about what really happened from the New York Attorney General and the other investigations underway?
Well, the New York Attorney General, I think, was the one that really blew the lid off of Cuomo's deceptions, because she was the one that said that the state may have undercounted COVID-19 deaths among nursing home residents by as much as 50%. And Governor Cuomo denied that he tried to fudge any numbers. But when state lawmakers came asking about some of these numbers back in June, his aide recently conceded that the governor and his aides kind of stonewalled and didn't quite come clean with the state lawmakers because they feared that the numbers would be used against the administration by former President Trump. Remember, Trump had been looking for ways to take Cuomo down a peg, given how high his marks were for his handling of coronavirus and how critical Cuomo was of the administration at the time. And so he pointed to this nursing home criticism and saying that because Cuomo directed nursing home residents who had been discharged but who had not yet tested negative and sent them back into nursing homes, the former president asserted that that increased the amount of death in nursing homes. Cuomo has denied it. He said he was following federal guidance at the time. He said that nursing homes were already infested with COVID-19 because staff brought it in from the outside.
And so then how are they explaining why the numbers are off and why they weren't counting nursing home residents who ended up then dying in hospitals the way other states do?
Yeah, in fact, they've never really successfully explained how they've been counting the numbers and why they may have been counting them differently. They say that the state lawmakers and the public has had all the numbers right away, but really they didn't until the New York State Attorney General revealed the results of her investigation. And then all of a sudden, Cuomo's office put the numbers up on the state dashboard. And so there's a real question about when the state knew the true results of nursing home deaths and what they decided to do about it. And later this week, there's a hearing with Governor Cuomo's top health official, Dr. Howard Zucker, and can bet that lawmakers are going to try and drill into that, Diane, to see what numbers he actually knew about and what numbers he was telling the public at the same time.
And Aaron, Cuomo's approval ratings were so high at the peak of the pandemic in New York. Some were even calling for him to run for president. He wrote a book on how to lead in a pandemic in the middle of all this. Now he's being parodied on Saturday Night Live for trying to avoid controversy and refusing to apologize. So how is this affecting Cuomo's reputation, and how did he get here?
Yeah, it was almost as if he parodied the Saturday Night Live skit, because the following Monday he came out and he said he was going to loosen some restrictions. And it was as if, he took a look at Saturday Night Live and said, hey, that's not a bad idea, because he's really been under the gun. The state lawmakers are looking to strip Cuomo of some of his emergency powers that have governed his decisions and enabled the state to be fairly nimble in its response throughout this pandemic. Now state lawmakers, as soon as next week, plan to take a vote, at least the state Senate, to try and scale that back and put a check on his power. Cuomo has not always embraced the other branch of government when it comes to making the rules, and state lawmakers have seized on the controversy to try and reassert themselves. And look, that has Cuomo fighting back in ways that only Cuomo knows how. He can be combative and he can be abrasive. One state assemblyman accused Cuomo of threatening him. I know of several state lawmakers who received kind of ranting phone calls from the governor over the past couple of weeks. Alternately, he'll try to be ingratiating, and then he'll threaten lawmakers. That's been his style, and he's being, put in the barrel for it. But that's worked for him, at least at the outset of this pandemic, when, as you said, Diane, he did receive high marks. And much of that may be that he was being compared to former President Trump and had such a different response. The former president, who nearly at every turn tried to downplay the pandemic, Cuomo was out there giving what he said were the facts and the true story. Now his style has come back to bite him.
And Cuomo is also now facing allegations of sexual harassment and bullying from a former aide. What do we know about that, and how's the governor responding?
Lindsey Boylan is a former congressional candidate. She's now running for Manhattan Borough President, and she had tweeted about these claims back in December. They were denied then, and she repeated some of them in a Medium post in which she accused the governor of promulgating an atmosphere of sexual harassment and bullying. And in particular, she accused the governor of sexually harassing her during an October 2017 plane ride. The governor's office today put out a statement denying that flight ever took place, and broadly they have denied the allegations. At every turn, Cuomo pushes back on his critics, sometimes forcefully, but she is not the only one to raise issues. Karen Hinton, another former aide, wrote in the New York Daily News today that this is the kind of atmosphere this is what it's like for women working in the governor's office. The governor notably was supposed to have a call with reporters today. That call did not happen.
All right, investigative reporter Aaron Katersky. Aaron, we know you'll stay on it, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.